So Liverpool will contest the first fixture of their pre-season campaign on Sunday when they head to Deepdale to face Preston North End. And of course, it's going to be a difficult one, an emotional day for all involved. But I do think there are aspects of this period that supporters should get excited about and should be able to look forward to. And for me, one of those is the fact that this part of the summer is always good to have a look at the young players who are coming through and who could potentially have an impact at first team level next season. And I have to say, it's maybe slightly different this summer in that there are no major international tournaments ongoing, or certainly senior ones. So, of course, you look back to last summer, the Copa America and the Euros meant that Arne Slot was working with the skeleton squad initially. And so there's a lot of opportunities to involve youngsters in the pre-season friendlies. Of course, it's going to be different this time around. He's going to pretty much have his full complement of players available from the very start, but I still think there are going to be chances there for some of the youngsters who are in and around the squad. And I wanted to pick out a few who I think might get some minutes in these friendlies, and then we'll hope to build on that and maybe have a decent sized role in the first team squad, or in some cases just break through to it for the first time. So I'm going to pick out a few players here that I've got my eye on in this pre-season period. And I think an obvious place to start really is with Trey Nyoni. Now, obviously, he is someone who's kind of a familiar name, really, to supporters at this point, because he made 5 appearances in total in all competitions last season. I mean, interestingly, he hasn't actually yet made a Premier League appearance, so that's something he'll be looking to change this season. But he has every opportunity to do that. I think he's just turned 18 only a few days ago and marked that by signing a new long-term contract. And I think that shows that there's big excitement around the player, big belief in where he's going. And I think Slot showed it as well a few times, using a player who was only 17 so frequently as to give him 5 appearances last season, showed that he really liked him. He had him around training an awful lot as well. So clearly they've got high hopes for this player. I think one thing you would say about him is he just needs to fill out a little bit more. He is very, very skinny, but of course he has only just turned 18. Maybe he'll never shake it off like me, but I think as a professional footballer he might do. And I think, this period is a good chance for him to show again, as much as he's shown it in training week in, week out. Again, can you do it in the games? Can you do it in the friendlies and prove that you're worthy of being in and around the first team? Because if he does that, there's a chance to build on those 5 appearances next season to make even more, get some more starts in the League Cup, in the FA Cup. Can he make that Premier League debut off the bench? That'll certainly be the hope for him. So we'll see how he goes. But as I say, this will be a really important stepping stone to that. So hoping to see a little bit of him over this pre-season period. And similarly, really, with Rio Ngumoha now, of course, again, another one. We got a small glimpse of him last season, didn't we? He played 72 minutes against Accrington in the FA Cup, which I have to say came as a shock to me, really. I did not expect that he would make his first team debut so soon after joining the club, and the fact that he was only 16 when he did that tells you everything really about how highly rated he is, and also why they fought so hard to snatch him away from Chelsea. Now, Chelsea really weren't very happy about that at all, but of course Liverpool, they made the case that they can give you first team opportunities and immediately delivered on that. Now, of course, the player himself will be thinking he wants a bit more than that. He has been in and around training again much of last season. It's still only 16 years old, which is incredibly impressive. It's clear that he's being groomed for a bigger role going forward. But these games are chances to impress, aren't they? And again, for him to show that he's worthy of making a few more appearances this season. Again, he won't expect to make 20, 25 appearances this season, but can he build on what he did last season? Build on his debut? Can he make 5 appearances as Nyoni did last season? That will certainly be the aim, because he's turning 17 soon, so he's coming into that age bracket. I expect he'll sign a first professional contract when that is the case. That is coming up. It's certainly my understanding that is very, very likely that will be announced soon. So, but I think, of course, from his perspective, he just wants to build on what he's done in the first team last season, stay around training, but make a few more appearances. And a good way of proving that you're ready to do that is by impressing in pre-season friendlies. So let's see how he gets on, and hopefully there's a few minutes for him there. Now I'm going to move forward to a slightly older player, and I say older he's still only 19 still. I mean, that makes me feel old because Rio Ngumoha is so young. But I'm talking about Jayden Dans. Now, of course, I've made no secret of the fact on this channel that I just rate him incredibly highly. I think there's a really special player there potentially. He, like I say, still only 19, but he's been around the first team for a while now. Certainly knows where the goal is. His ability to sniff out a goal is just something you can't teach, and he has inherently got that. Also helps that he's got a lot of qualities in other aspects of his game, and he's also built like a man as well, which, for a player of his age is unusual really. So he looks ready for men's football. So again, a chance to prove that now in these friendlies. I mean, you think of the opportunities that might be there. Obviously, Liverpool a bit shorter in attack. You think that Darwin Núñez could go at any time. Those negotiations with Napoli are ongoing. So real chances there for a central striker, a young central striker, to make an impact of some sort. So I believe that he is fit again now, having missed the back end of last season through a back injury. And of course, that did deny him that loan spell at Sunderland. He wasn't able to make a single appearance there in the end, unfortunately, because of that injury. And for that reason, the expectation is that he will go out on loan again this season. But before then, prove to the manager that you're still there, that you're still ready to make an impact at first team level. And then if that can bounce you into a successful loan spell, that you can come back for the following season and maybe even have a chance to be part of the Liverpool first team squad, we'll have to see. But as I say, a good pre-season period is crucial to doing that. So let's hope he can do that. And I could say similar really about James McConnell. Now again, with him, my understanding is that a loan move is on the cards for him this season, either to the Championship or it'll be abroad. I imagine there'll be clubs in Germany interested. They always seem to be in the young English talents, don't they? But again, before he does that, before he goes out on that loan, prove again to the manager why he liked you so much last season, why he didn't want to lose you on loan in the January window. Show him that you've developed even maybe a little bit over the summer, maybe even physically as well. That will be the hope that for McConnell, is that he's able to do that. Because I think, last season, I think, and any time really for me, he's been in the first team picture, I just think he looks so impressive, such an intelligent player, and he is starting to fill out a little bit. So he's got both sides of his game I like. He can tackle, but he's so clever and so calm in possession as well. I just think there's a really promising player there for me. So of course, I think that loan spell that he's expected to go on will be important for him, and it's something he maybe needs. But I don't think that should be seen as, he's out the first team picture. Then I think this player has got a chance. He just, because he's like a more of a holding deeper midfielder, just needs that little bit of extra experience, and hopefully he can get it on loan. But of course, before that, as I say, if he can do something in pre-season, which is do what he's done every time he's been around the first team, which is impressing, then I think that won't do him any harm, certainly. So interested to see how he gets on and whether he gets a few opportunities in this period. Now, moving on to one who's a new one for us really to look at, and someone we don't know much about, and that is the summer signing Armin Peichi. Now, of course, as I say, he only joined the club this summer. He's a goalkeeper, very young still, and the expectation is that he's not going to be around third choice goalkeeper. Of course, there was maybe some debate around that when he first joined, but of course we know Freddie Woodman's joined now. The expectation that's going to be his role. They're not going to throw Peichi in like that, so he's probably going to be in and around the academy teams, but he is still extremely highly rated, and they do think that this kid's got a big future, and for good reason really, because despite his tender years, he was playing first team football in his native Hungary before moving to Liverpool, and of course he was nominated for the Golden Boy Award as well. So one of the most highly rated young players in Europe, and Liverpool have managed to snap him up. So it's my understanding he will be in and around the tour. Of course, things might change with injuries or whatever, but it is the expectation as I film this, excuse me, that he will go on tour. So, a big opportunity for him there, isn't it, to impress Arne Slot and show what he's about. So let's hope that he's able to do that. And for us, just to get our first glimpse of him, see why so many rate him so highly, it'll be an interesting one to see how he gets on. Now, just one more left now before I wrap up, and that is someone in defence who I think will get opportunities, and that is Amara Nallo. Now, you will remember that name. He made his first team debut last season, and it didn't go particularly well. That was in the Champions League against PSV Eindhoven, on in the 83rd minute. sent off in the 87th minute for a last man challenge, so a very brief debut and one he will want to forget. But I don't want people to focus too much on what went on in that game. There's a big talent there, and I think he's looked great in the youth levels, very composed in possession, strong and quick, and just a good defender really as well. And he's made that mistake in his first game there, but he's still only 18 years old, so you can't hold that against him. And as I say, I think there are going to be chances for him to quickly move on from that, because Liverpool are a little bit short of centre-halves at the moment because Quansah's gone. So, it's something they're looking at in the market. But before then, Nallo is going to maybe get a chance in some of these pre-season friendlies to show that he's learned from that mistake, that he can cut it at first team level. And again, he's already probably shown that because he's been in and around first team level, but he will want to show that he can do it when they're playing games, even if they are friendlies. So I think there are going to be chances for him to feature there, and we can see what they've got with that player. Again, still only 18, shouldn't be big pressure on him for a position where players do tend to mature a little bit later, don't they? But he is a big talent, and I think with these opportunities he gets in pre-season, he'll really want to impress on Arne Slot that he is good enough for this level. So we'll have to see how he gets on in terms of that. Now, of course, there are a few you might be screaming at me that I haven't mentioned. A few I maybe want to rattle through here who I think that they will be in and around the first team for this pre-season part, but I'm not so sure that their long-term prospects of impacting the first team are that big, which is why I didn't speak about them. I mean, one of those is Owen Beck, who there's big interest in him this summer. I think he's ready for a first team move now to go out there and play regular football. He's a very, very good player, but Liverpool have just signed Milos Kerkez. They've still got Tsimikas, still got Robertson. You just don't see where Beck gets regular football there, so I expect that he will leave. Similarly, really, with Ben Doak, of course, the onus is on clubs to pay the fee that Liverpool expect, which is around 25 million. But the fact that they've put that price tag on him, to me, suggests that they don't necessarily see him as a first team option in the long term. So I'm struggling to see that he will play regularly, even if he has a decent pre-season. Lucas Stevenson is ready for a permanent move now as well after another impressive loan spell. And there's a couple of others. Callum Scanlon, I believe he's still injured at the moment, so won't get the chance at left back. And Stefan Bajcetic, obviously we know all about him, but still out after having that surgery at the back end of or over the summer, so he's not expected to play a part in pre-season, which is a shame. But of course we know how good he could possibly be, and maybe if you can get back for the back end of pre-season, maybe you just might get the odd opportunity there, but we'll have to see on that front. So I guess the question is really, do let me know what you think about these players. Which one are you most excited about seeing? Is there anyone I didn't mention there actually out of the youngsters that you think might just sneak in? Maybe one of the really young players who was on the fringes of that last season. Do let me know your thoughts on that. Always interested to hear them. And if you can like and subscribe, that would be massively appreciated. And of course, I will be back to give my post-match review of the game on Sunday against Preston. So we'll see how Liverpool get on, and I'll see you guys then.